wasn't expecting that one. Yeah, it's just so great. This is why it's so nice to not have makeup on.
In a jaw-dropping twist that's rocking the royal world, the Queen has finally exposed the truth behind Meghan Markle's fairy tale romance. And it's not what anyone expected. With royal records, private letters, and insider accounts now coming to light, Her Majesty has revealed a calculated plan hidden behind the smiles and headlines. It was all a setup, she declared, claiming Meghan was never truly in love with Prince Harry. So, was it all about power, status, and control? This revelation is shaking the monarchy's foundation, a royal glance that hid a storm. It started with something so subtle that most people missed it. A single look, not the usual royal wave or a graceful smile. No joy, no sparkle, just a still, unreadable stare from Queen Elizabeth II as she sat at the grand wedding of her grandson, Prince Harry, and his bride-to-be, Meghan Markle. The world was watching what seemed like a fairy tale unfold, a modern royal love story, a celebration of cultures. But for those who knew the Queen best, her expression told a very different story. She didn't look pleased. She didn't look proud. Instead, she appeared distant, almost troubled. Some viewers dismissed it, saying the Queen was simply exhausted or lost in thought. After all, she was in her 90s, and royal events could be long and draining. But those close to her knew better. That look wasn't just a fleeting moment, it was a quiet warning. Years later, with new insights from Lady Elizabeth Anson, the Queen's cousin and lifelong confidant, we've learned that the Queen's icy expression was far more than it seemed. It wasn't tiredness, it was a deep, unspoken concern. Behind that calm exterior, the Queen was holding back a storm of emotion, worry, suspicion, and a heavy heart. According to Lady Elizabeth, the Queen had quietly made up her mind about Meghan long before wedding bells rang. Behind palace walls, she would pointedly label the newcomer the troublemaker. The phrase carried no warmth, no playful wink. It was a firm warning. Those two sharp words revealed a monarch's unease, hinting that Meghan's arrival might shake the centuries-old order more than any outsider had dared in decades of royal life. The Queen didn't see Meghan as just another royal newcomer. To her, Meghan was more than a bold personality. She was a challenge to the order, a source of tension wrapped in style and Hollywood shine. Elizabeth saw past the glamorous outfits and the charming speeches. She believed Meghan wasn't swept off her feet by love. She believed Meghan had planned it all. This wasn't romance, it was strategy. The Queen had weathered countless royal dramas in her reign. She had seen scandals rise and fall and marriages bloom and break. She had a sharp eye for character and motives. And in Meghan, she sensed something calculated. It wasn't just about tradition being ignored. It was about intentions. Meghan, in the Queen's view, wasn't there to join the family. She was there to change it, or worse, use it. That one cold glance on the wedding day held all of this. To the public, it looked like a tired queen. But to those who knew the truth, it was a silent cry of warning. This wasn't the beginning of a royal fairy tale. It was the start of a royal storm. That single, unreadable glance was just the beginning, a quiet warning of deeper troubles beneath the royal celebration. But was it enough to justify the Queen's fears? Now, let's explore the early red flags that truly unsettled her. Breaking traditions and trust. The first red flags didn't come with loud headlines or dramatic public scenes. They were small, subtle moments, easy to miss for anyone outside the royal circle. But to Queen Elizabeth II, those moments spoke volumes. From early on, Meghan Markle's behavior began to raise quiet concerns inside the palace walls. She didn't outright break rules, but she bent them, and the way she spoke, often with a sharp or dismissive tone, suggested something deeper than innocent mistakes. To the Queen, it felt like Meghan wasn't simply unfamiliar with royal customs. She was actively choosing to ignore them. One of the earliest and most painful incidents unfolded even before the wedding. Acting on Meghan's wishes, Prince Harry made an unexpected move. He asked the Archbishop of Canterbury to officiate their ceremony at St. George's Chapel. The controversy wasn't about the choice itself, but the protocol it broke. Harry failed to inform the Dean of Windsor, who traditionally presides over royal weddings there, of an omission seen as disrespectful and unsettling within royal circles. To outsiders, this might seem minor, but to Queen Elizabeth, it was a direct snub to centuries of structure and decorum. She had spent her entire reign upholding tradition, valuing proper channels, and ensuring that royal life followed a certain order. To her, this last-minute bypass wasn't just careless, it was deeply disrespectful. It suggested that Harry and Meghan were placing themselves above royal procedure, as if their wishes mattered more than the institution itself. And then, the incident that truly hit home: the dress. As the big day approached, Queen Elizabeth reached out in what should have been a sweet and personal gesture. She asked Meghan to show her the wedding dress ahead of time, a long-standing royal tradition. It was a simple request, one rooted in trust and connection. For generations, brides marrying into the family had shared that moment with the Queen. It was a way of bonding, of building warmth before stepping into royal life. But Meghan refused. No explanation, no preview, not even a hint of the design. To most, this might seem like a harmless choice. But for the Queen, it carried a deeper meaning. It wasn't just about a dress. It was about trust and rejection. Here was the Queen, the family matriarch, extending a hand to welcome Meghan. And Meghan, in return, shut the door. That cold refusal stayed with the Queen. At that moment, something shifted. Queen Elizabeth realized Meghan didn't trust her, and in turn, she made a painful decision. She could no longer trust Meghan either. What had started as quiet concern had now turned into something far more serious. The Queen had seen enough to sense that trouble was ahead. The early signs were subtle but meaningful, small breaks in tradition that hinted at deeper fractures. Meghan's choices slowly eroded trust, signaling a growing rift the Queen couldn't overlook. Now let's delve into how Harry and Meghan broke royal norms to craft their own love story. A royal wedding like no other. On May 19, 2018, the world witnessed the much-anticipated royal wedding of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, a ceremony that broke away from long-standing royal traditions in more ways than one. Interestingly, their choice of date raised eyebrows from royal watchers and historians alike. Unlike many royal weddings that are typically scheduled during the week, Harry and Meghan chose to get married on a Saturday. This stood out in royal history. For instance, Prince William and Kate Middleton were married on a Friday. Prince Charles and Princess Diana tied the knot on a Wednesday, and Queen Elizabeth II married Prince Philip on a Thursday. So, selecting a Saturday was not only unusual, but also a subtle sign that this couple was taking a different path, one that hinted at a more modern and personal approach. Royal wedding invitations have always been a significant detail, and Harry and Meghan's were no exception. True to tradition, their formal invitations were crafted by the prestigious printing firm Barnard Westwood, a company well known for serving the British royal family. The elegant cards were printed with gold ink and proudly displayed the three-feathered badge of Prince Charles, showing his connection to the event as both the father of the groom and the Prince of Wales. The refined design symbolized a blend of tradition, status, and royalty. However, as revealed in Episode 3 of their Netflix documentary, Harry and Meghan, the couple also issued a second set of invitations, this time for a more modern and relaxed evening reception. These invites were far less formal, reflecting the personal and intimate nature of their private celebration. It was a small but telling detail that highlighted their desire to balance royal expectations with their individuality. The wedding venue itself also reflected this mix of royal heritage and personal choice. While Prince William and Kate Middleton exchanged vows in the Grand Westminster Abbey, the site of many royal ceremonies in London, Harry and Meghan opted for the slightly more intimate but equally historic St. George's Chapel, located within the grounds of Windsor Castle. This decision was deeply meaningful. Windsor held special significance for the royal family, and the setting gave their wedding a more private and serene feel compared to the pomp of central London. In an official statement, Kensington Palace's Communications Secretary Jason Knopf shared the couple's joy, saying, "Prince Harry and Miss Markle are delighted that the beautiful grounds of Windsor Castle will be where they begin their lives together as a married couple." From the unusual date and dual invitations to the venue steeped in royal history, Every detail of Harry and Meghan's wedding hinted at something different, something personal. It wasn't just a royal affair, it was a love story told on their terms. Their wedding was more than tradition. It was a bold mix of royal heritage and personal choice, opening a new chapter of love and individuality. But the ceremony was just the beginning. Now, let's explore Meghan's profound impact on the royal family. Cracks in the royal family. Not long after Meghan Markle officially stepped into royal life, quiet tremors began to shake the foundation of the royal family, and Queen Elizabeth noticed them all. The friction wasn't just between Meghan and palace staff. It began to stretch into the heart of the family. From the outset, Meghan and Catherine, the Duchess of Cambridge, shared a tense and distant relationship. While the press speculated about it with headlines and gossip, the Queen had her inside view. In a private conversation with her cousin, Lady Elizabeth Anson, the Queen admitted what she had observed firsthand. They don't work well together. These were not just personality differences. They were early signs of deeper conflict. What troubled the Queen even more was the growing pattern she saw in Meghan's behavior. In public, Meghan was dazzling. She smiled brightly at charity events, gave inspiring speeches, and charmed the media. But behind palace doors, her attitude changed. She didn't follow staff protocols. She brushed off royal customs with visible irritation. There was a sense that she viewed herself as more important than the institution she had joined. A rising star, meant for something greater than the traditions surrounding her. Yet none of this compared to the heartbreak that came next. The Queen wasn't just worried about Meghan. She was heartbroken over what was happening to Harry. He had always been the lively one, the mischievous but lovable grandson, full of jokes, warmth, and spirit. She adored him, and he had once looked up to her with so much affection. But as time passed, Queen Elizabeth II watched her grandson change before her eyes. The warmth faded. His behavior became more distant, more rehearsed, almost as if someone else was speaking through him. Lady Elizabeth Anson shared that the Queen noticed how Harry began echoing Meghan's thoughts and feelings almost word for word. He was no longer the independent thinker he used to be. Family gatherings that once brought laughter and lightness became awkward and cold. Harry began pulling away, not just physically, but emotionally. Then came a moment that shook the Queen to her core. According to Lady Elizabeth, Harry once called his grandmother and spent 10 full minutes scolding her. This wasn't a respectful disagreement. It wasn't a difficult conversation between family members. It was a one-sided, painful rant. And through it all, the Queen said nothing. She simply listened. But when the call ended, she was deeply shaken, not just by Harry's words, but by the realization that the grandson she had once known, cherished, and protected was now someone else entirely. This wasn't just about Meghan anymore. It was about losing Harry, his heart, his loyalty, and perhaps his love. And for Queen Elizabeth, that loss cut deeper than anything else. While the Queen supported their independence, she favored full royal duties. A tense family meeting exposed deep emotional conflicts, revealing growing rifts within the royal family. Now, let's explore how other members responded to these new developments. Royal rift revealed. Less than a year after Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's fairytale wedding in May 2018, the first signs of trouble began to surface. Quiet at first, but unmistakable. In March 2019, Buckingham Palace made a public announcement that raised eyebrows. It stated that Harry and Meghan would be setting up their household, formally separating from the joint office they once shared with Prince William and Kate Middleton. This move was more than just logistical. It hinted at deeper divisions within the royal family. Not long before this, the media had affectionately dubbed the two couples the Fab Four. They were seen as the future of the monarchy, young, dynamic, and full of promise. Their public appearances together were met with excitement, and royal watchers were thrilled by their apparent unity. But the image didn't last. Soon, headlines began to change. Reports emerged from palace insiders speaking of tension and growing rifts between the Sussexes and the Cambridges. Behind palace walls, things were unraveling faster than the public realized. Rumors of disagreements and strained conversations became frequent tabloid fodder. While much of the public didn't know exactly what was going on, it was clear something had shifted dramatically. Then came the Queen's rare and deeply personal statement, issued after a high-level family meeting held to discuss Harry and Meghan's future. Her words were carefully chosen, full of grace and restraint, yet they revealed the emotional weight of the situation. "Today, my family had very constructive discussions on the future of my grandson and his family," the Queen began. She acknowledged Harry and Meghan's wish to step back from royal duties, expressing support while also gently noting that she would have preferred they remained full-time working royals. Nonetheless, she respected their desire for a more independent life. In a heartfelt statement, the Queen made it clear that Harry and Meghan would no longer depend on public money to support their new lifestyle. She also shared that there would be a temporary transition period, allowing the couple to live part-time in both Canada and the UK as they adjusted to their new roles. Acknowledging the emotional weight and difficulty of the situation, the Queen described it as complex and emphasized the need for thoughtful and delicate management. She reassured the public that, despite the challenges, final decisions would be made within a few days to move things forward. But Harry's version of that summit painted a far less diplomatic picture. In a 2022 interview, he opened up about the emotional toll of that meeting. He described it as terrifying, recalling how his brother, Prince William, shouted at him, while his father, King Charles, then Prince of Wales, said things that Harry claimed were untrue. Most heartbreaking of all, perhaps, was his description of Queen Elizabeth II, his beloved grandmother, sitting quietly, absorbing the chaos, but saying very little. This revelation uncovered a painful truth. Beneath the royal facade and practiced smiles, the family faced deep internal conflict, emotional strain, and fractured bonds, once thought unbreakable. Now, let us explore a queen's fight for family and heartbreak, the final fracture. After the wedding, Queen Elizabeth didn't sit back and watch things fall apart. She fought, quietly but fiercely, to hold her family together. She did what she had always done in times of turmoil. She led with grace, patience, and quiet strength. She organized private dinners to ease tensions, picked up the phone for difficult conversations, and extended invitations to Harry and Meghan in hopes of rebuilding trust. But her efforts were met with resistance. No matter what she tried, the divide only grew deeper. Meghan refused to adjust. She dismissed centuries of royal tradition, from ignoring curtsies to disregarding palace protocol, and made little effort to even pretend she was trying. It wasn't the rule-breaking itself that stunned the Queen, it was the attitude behind it. Meghan carried herself as though the monarchy should bend to her will. Instead of learning how to fit in, she seemed determined to make the entire institution fit her. And Harry, once so independent and full of charm, followed her lead. By early 2019, Lady Elizabeth Anson, the Queen's lifelong confidant, noticed a heartbreaking shift. The Queen, usually steady and full of hope, had changed. Her bright spirit had faded. She no longer spoke of reconciliation, only regret. She confided in Lady Elizabeth that she had completely lost trust in Meghan, not because of a single moment, but because of a pattern she could no longer ignore. Meghan may have dazzled the public with her speeches and star power, but behind the scenes she was cold, dismissive, and calculated. Instead of embracing the royal family, she seemed to be rewriting the narrative to focus solely on herself, her image, her struggles, her truth. When things went wrong, she didn't look inward. She pointed fingers at the press, at palace staff, at the royals themselves, even in the Queen's own family. To Queen Elizabeth, this wasn't the behavior of someone misunderstood or mistreated. It was the strategy of someone who viewed the monarchy not as a legacy, but as a stepping stone. And the greatest heartbreak of all? Harry wasn't just allowing it, he was helping her do it. He had once been the Queen's joyful, affectionate grandson, the one who made her laugh, who stood by her through so much. But now, he was someone else, someone distant, someone who had walked away not only from his royal duties, but from her, from the woman who had given him nothing but love and loyalty for his entire life. Lady Elizabeth, who passed away in 2020, left behind more than memories. She left insights into the Queen's private thoughts. In their deeply personal conversations, a striking truth emerged. Queen Elizabeth II didn't see Meghan Markle as just another love story within the royal family. Instead, she viewed Meghan as a symbol of disruption, a bold rewrite of the traditions and values the Queen had carefully upheld for over 7 decades. To Her Majesty, Meghan wasn't simply marrying into royalty. She was challenging the very foundations of it, threatening to reshape an institution the Queen had devoted her life to preserving. And for a monarch who had lived her life by tradition, honor, and unshakable duty, there could be no deeper betrayal than watching it all unravel at the hands of her grandson. So what do you think about the Queen claiming Meghan never loved Harry? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.